Hey everybody, welcome to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid. Scorching Warriors three-point shooting helped them win this game. 54%. Monte, Poole, Kerith, Burke. Listen, Monte, I'm gonna be a little honest, okay? On my drive to work, I didn't know that this would be the outcome. You know what I mean? Listen, let me just have a moment. When you see that Steph, Draymond, Clay, and Wiggins are not playing tonight, reasonable to think this is going to be a tough one. Warriors got one of their best wins of the season tonight, possibly the best, definitely their best on the road. And yeah, that three-point shooting had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, certainly their most surprising win. I mean, this came out of nowhere because Cleveland's a good team, you know. They're 18 coming into this game, 10 over 500, and the Warriors on the road had not beaten any team in the Eastern Conference that was playing 500 or better basketball. And so to see them now come in and go to Cleveland, a place that the old Warriors that didn't play know very well, and take down a team that really is going to be probably a top 4, top 5 team in the East, and do it with guys that they didn't even know, other than Jordan, maybe a little bit about Kuminga, Ty Jerome having a big game. I mean, the Cavaliers didn't game plan for him.
No.
They didn't game plan for Anthony Lamb, you know, so it's a nice surprise for the Warriors to close a road trip, and a much needed surprise because it would have been a real downer had they lost on back-to-back games before coming home.
Do you think the visitors' locker room still smells like champagne?
Like champagne. I'll ask Steph.
Would they have popped a bottle tonight if they had one in there?
Yeah, they might have. You know, I mean, well, those wwho are old enough to drink.
Sure. Yes. Yes. All right. You had an observation about their three-point shooting tonight, Monte. We had. Oh, okay. We're gonna show you Poole. We're gonna show you Poole's three-point shooting. Or is this team three-point shooting? Okay, they had 23 threes tonight, 14 threes in that first half, which was the most they had in a half this season. And I was looking at the last game, they had 18 against the Celtics in overtime. And the Cavaliers' defense, they're second in defensive rating. So it's not like those shots didn't have any pressure on them. And yeah, here was your observation, Monte.
But I also think, though, that the Cavaliers probably, you know, took this game like an expected win. You know, they look over there and they see Steph's in street clothes, Klay Thompson in street clothes, Draymond's in street clothes, Wiggins in street clothes.
Feels like a gimme.
Yeah, we got this. We're at home. We got this. We're a good team. And so maybe they got hit in the mouth early. You know, Jordan came out and hit a three, another three. He hit 3 straight threes to get the Warriors going on offense, and his teammates just kind of swarmed in and followed. So the result was 23 three-pointers on the night by the entire team. And again, this is one of those situations where you didn't think they would be this good. And, you know, like Steve Kerr was saying after the game, you know, this is not something you're going to get every night. But he said, we have shooters. Yeah. And sometimes this is what happens.
So when Jordan Poole starts 3 of 3 in that first quarter, he hits a milestone. He's the youngest player in Warriors franchise history to reach 500 threes. So he's 23 and then 215 days. So when he reached that 500 milestone, he was younger than Steph and Clay, although they did it in fewer games. Yes, fewer attempts. There you go. So yeah, good night for Poole as he's been searching for that three-point shot a little bit. Oh, man,
yeah. I mean, he spent most of this season shooting in the high 20s, low 30s from three. He's picked it up lately. He's over 40% over the last 6 games. And that changes, to me, that changes everything about his offensive game because you watch him play, and, you know, for a while there, Jordan was taking a lot of criticism for over-dribbling, which he was. He was dribbling into traffic, which he was. And I think some of that was because he wasn't so sure about his three, and defenders were backing off of him a little bit. And when you back off Jordan a little bit, and his three ball doesn't have the faith it normally has, he still thinks he can use his speed and craftiness to get past you. And in the NBA, that's tough. And what oftentimes you would see the result would be a turnover. And so I think if Jordan's three ball is where it's been for the last couple of weeks, if he continues that, 40%, 38%, anywhere in there, I think that changes everything because now defenders have to step up, respect his three. And if you step up on Jordan Poole, he's probably going to blow past you.
There you go. Now, there was a funky moment for Jordan Poole. This is where he picked up the technical. We need to talk about this because this video is bouncing around the internet right now. It was in the third quarter. It's on an inbounds play. He pushes off of Neto. Okay, then he's going to talk, he's called for offensive foul. He's going to hang on to the ball. That's, Steve Kerr mentioned, was a delay of game.
Yep.
Then he's going to argue. And here you go right here. This is Steve Kerr chewing him out, telling him he's got to be smarter. Now, Steve Kerr admitted after the game, he kind of snaps right there. That's the word that he used. Jordan looked at him like he was crazy, and then they moved on. But as this video bounces around the internet, here's how Steph Curry reacted to that. Because House of Highlights says Steve Kerr had some choice words for Poole after his tech. And Steph's like, no. This is Steve Kerr coaching. And then Jordan Poole taking the energy the right way. Show how JP responded. So I see Steph's point there when you have players saying, no, this is a coach coaching up his player. What did you think of this?
No, I think, Jordan is an emotional player. And I think Steve is making a point that, you can't do this. You can't do this. And I think in Jordan's case, sometimes you have to be, emphatic
okay.
in what you express to him. And so I think Steve did it the right way. I think Jordan understands. Steve has been hard on Jordan. And in this instance, he should have been. He had to be. You don't do that. You're hurting your team, you're hurting yourself, and you're hurting your momentum that you might have had. So I think for Jordan, he understands it, but in the heat of the moment, it may have taken him a minute or two to kind of get himself back together again, which he finally did.
Sure. Well, Steve Kerr is an emotional person.
Yeah, he bottles it pretty well, but when he comes out, you know
Yeah, but
it.
when he snaps, he snaps. But yeah, I think everybody handled that the way that it needed to be handled. It was nice to see Steph Curry chime in there. Actually, one of the things I'll remember from this game is Steph's bear hug from behind on Jordan Poole after this game. So nobody's mad here. It was just a little bit of, Jordan, in that moment, be smarter. Don't send your opponent to the free throw line in a game where these margins are shrinking when we're trying to hang on to this win.
There are certain things you can't do as a player and expect a good outcome. And one of those things is beefing with the referees. And Jordan is, for a guy who is, not a starter, he's in technical foul category, he's got like 7 or 8. He's up there pretty high for a guy who doesn't play 35 minutes a night, a guy who's not a starter. So I think, and Steve mentioned that, he's getting better, he's trying to get better, but you have to be able to play your game without letting the referees distract you because, they have a bad foul. And I think what Steve Kerr's comment was, you have to embrace the fact that there's going to be bad calls and play through them.
Yeah. One of the things that impressed me about Jordan tonight is on the second night of a back-to-back at the end of a road trip, he's playing 41 minutes. This is after he played heavy minutes against Boston. Now, Jordan is too young for a rest night. Okay, he can't ask for one. The coaches are very unlikely going to give him one. So he had to be locked in for this game. And his energy, though, as one of the leaders on this team, as one of the playmakers on this team, that really helps everybody else bring the right energy from the get-go.
Yeah, he got it started. He got it started. I mean, this was a game that if the Warriors start off poorly, it's a blowout. If they, in the first quarter, they're down 20 or 15, they got no chance. They're not coming back. But no, in the first quarter, they had a 5-point lead at the end of the quarter because Jordan really got the offense going.
Yeah, and I think that puts the Cavs back like this. Like, whoa, this is not what we expected.
And when you see a teammate make 3 consecutive threes, sometimes for you, the rim gets a little bit bigger. And I think over the course of the night, you saw guys firing away, and everybody was making threes, it seemed like. Looney didn't take any, but
sure.
Everybody
but he hasn't all season. So.
Yes, but I mean, the 8 players who did shoot threes, all of them made at least one.
Yes.
So
yes.
I mean, the only one who made only one was Moody, but he wasn't out there for more than 14 minutes what he played. But everybody else made at least 2. So guys were shooting the ball well, but I think, again, when Jordan comes off at the opening tip and bang, bang, bang with 3 threes, it's like, oh, okay, we came to play tonight. Let's do it.
23 threes, 54%. All right, Kevon Looney did not get in on that action, but he owned the glass tonight. 17 rebounds, 6 of them O boards, 4 points for Looney as well. But I think about Looney even going back to that Boston game. Actually, one of our friends at 95.7 The Game said this pretty well. Let's take a look at JD showing some appreciation for Loon, okay? So in the last 2 nights, he takes a seat on the bench in Boston, okay? One of the most fun games, the biggest games of the season to play. And then he's got to go out there, the only one of the Warriors' regular starters to start this game and join the back half of the roster. Good for Loon.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think about it, 17 rebounds for Loon, that's a good number anytime. But when you look at the fact that Cleveland's front line is big, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, they combined for 15.
Okay.
So Looney out-rebounded both of their bigs.
Yep.
And that's a big reason why the Warriors won this game. The Warriors were plus 10 in rebounds, and Looney was a big part of that. So you look at what Looney does on a nightly basis, and sometimes it gets lost among what the other guys are doing because it's more spectacular to see guys shoot three-pointers and get a lot of dunks and stuff. But Looney is doing blue-collar work, and I think a lot of Warriors fans understand that and appreciate that because they know that this team wouldn't have been where it has been over the past few years if not for Looney doing his work. 2
blocks as well, and then the funny one early against Kevin Love. Was it Kevon? No, Kevin Love. And the smiles between them, that was pretty amusing as well.
Yeah, so, well, that's a UCLA thing.
There you go. Yeah, got you.
Brewing love. Yeah, I got you.
So Kevon Looney has now played 157 consecutive games. I even like the moment where after a timeout, Steve Kerr drew up a dunk for Looney.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful play.
It was.
I mean, it got Loon free for a dunk, and so I think Loon is, second on the team in dunks, maybe.
I would have to check that one,
Yeah, I mean, Kuminga's first, I think, but Looney's right there. So he sneaks in a few dunks every now and then,
Yes, he does.
But again, he doesn't do anything spectacular. I mean, for him, spectacular means getting 17 rebounds. It means making sure that my screen was outstanding enough to get Steph an open look. And so that's his game. That's what he does. That's why he's paid. And he's such a big part of this team without being someone who you notice. He doesn't blend in the background because he's doing too much. But if you watch him over the course of the game, just isolate on him, and you will see, I think at the end of the game, you'll go, wow, Looney's a hell of a player.
All the dirty work that he does. All right, there's one more player who maybe we could say we just snuck in with some really great play. Ty Jerome, the two-way player. Monte, you made the point that he was very unlikely on the Cavaliers scouting report. 22 points, a very efficient 9 of 13, 3 of 4. 8 assists, though, 1 turnover. Ty was very important to the outcome of this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think you noticed late in the game, Ty was the point guard, and Jordan was off the ball, which was a smart move. Jordan had 5 turnovers. And so Ty is a little more careful, a lot more careful with the basketball.
Yeah,
and I think, again, Jordan Poole's has more talented, no doubt about it. But in a game like that's this close, that can go either way on 1 or 2 possessions, if you're a coach or if you're a teammate, it's like, let's ride with Ty because Ty is really good with the ball. And Jordan's a little more reckless. And so I think watching them finish the game with Ty on the court, 41 minutes from Ty Jerome.
41
that's
minutes
huge.
from Ty Jerome,
so, But you know what? Again, 3 of 9 of 13 shooting.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Ty he had a great night. Yeah, well,
when Ty can be the 1, as you mentioned, it frees up Jordan to be in the 2. So there's Jordan feeling a little bit more comfortable racing to 32 points to lead the team in scoring. So those two are working well together.
Well, they've got, Ty is the 5th guard. I mean, Dante is out there, but on this night, Dante started. So you got all 3 of those guys starting. And Dante is one of those guards who he rebounds like a forward. He had 6 rebounds tonight. He's had games of 8, 9, and 10 rebounds, which is for a guard is crazy, but he does that. But more important, I think, is that you got Dante out there who can also make plays for other guys, And
enjoys that part of the game.
Yes, he had 4 assists, so when you have 3 playmakers out there and all of them can shoot, it gives your offense a little bit more dimension.
Yeah, while we're just in the assist column, I just want to point out 5 for Jonathan Kuminga. What do you think of that?
That's outstanding. That's growth.
Yeah.
That's growth. I mean, a year ago, Jonathan Kuminga wouldn't know an assist from a pumpkin, and so, no, it just wasn't part of his game, He was out there going one-on-one, and so now he's embracing the broader aspects of the game, not just getting the shots up and getting the rebounds, blocking a shot. He's also now doing a better job of just playing fundamental defense. And tonight, there was one instance where he kind of reverted, and he tried to go one-on-one in an instance, and he challenged Jared Allen at the rim. It did not go well. And it's just, Steve Kerr took him out right after that, brought in Anthony Lamb. Why? Because Anthony Lamb is not going to do that. And so he's still on the learning curve, but to see 5 assists from JK, that's huge.
Yeah, I want to give JK a pumpkin the way that a fan, somebody gave Clay a toaster. So I just want to I want JK holding the pumpkin like Clay was holding the toaster. All right, so those were the guys who did play and got a very big W. But coming up on Dubstock Live, brought to you by FitAid, we do need to talk about the guys who did not play and a larger conversation about rest. I think that conversation would have been at high volume had they not won this game. But there are still a few things we need to address. That's next.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by FitAid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. FitAid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us on YouTube. We got a pumpkin. Yep, I want to see some pumpkin emojis in there. Yes, there you go. No cap is like, this was a huge W. No cap, precisely, you got it right. Jordan Poole is still on a learning curve for some things. Yeah, I agree with that. And I didn't have a chance to say this, but you jogged my memory. Steve Kerr has said he specifically has some tough love for Jordan Poole. He has been harder on him than other players. So while they can sort of react to each other in an emotional way, I think there's all love there.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Steve's case, he sees Jordan's potential, which is vast. And Jordan sometimes gets in his own way. And that's what young players do sometimes. I mean, I don't care how great you are. You go back to when Kobe Bryant began his career in the NBA. And, you know, he wanted to be great immediately. And it takes a little time sometimes, and you have to go through some bumps and bruises. And I think in Jordan's case, you know, yeah, he's growing a little bit day by day. He's still growing. He's going to continue to grow. But even as he is right now, he's a really good NBA player. He's not great yet, but greatness is possible. And I think that's why if you as a coach, if you don't see greatness as possible and try and do what you can to see him get there, you're not doing your job. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's what Steve is doing.
Year 4 for Jordan Poole, and he's only 23 years old. Sometimes I sit and think about that. It's like he's already seen, his rookie season was the worst the Warriors have had in a long time.
It was rough.
50. Okay, then the play-in season, and then a championship season. He has seen so much basketball so early in his career, and you know, to be determined what year 4 has in store for him. Pumpkin emojis. All right, we're gonna have Kuminga coming up, so just a second.
JK.
Man, I felt great. I'm glad to be back. You know, just gonna keep building from the game. I'm just gonna keep building from what I did today, and yeah, I felt good to be back.
How was this injury? Like it popped up in a little strange, like tricky to get back.
I mean, it was the way it happened. I mean, it's not like I wanted to happen, and it wasn't something that I was supposed to be rushing back or anything like that. And having a great staff, you know, they understand what I had going on with. They told me to just keep getting healthy every day. I mean, there's like the day present itself where I was getting back and I'm feeling good to be back. They let me come out here and play.
Observed from this team, you know, while you were watching from the sidelines?
I mean, we just haven't been connected together well because, you know, people being in and out, injuries, time management. So hopefully now the time get to click where everybody get back and we get used to each other. I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch.
Nice to see Jonathan Kuminga back. He missed 8 games with a foot injury. At first he was in the walking boot, and then J. Michael Green back after 14 games. He had the leg infection, also had COVID early on, or an illness early on. So getting back these guys, that made an impact tonight.
No doubt. I mean, on a night when you're short, to see 2 guys who hadn't played in a while come back and join the lineup, they needed that. They don't win this game without those 2 guys.
Yeah.
You know, Jonathan was able to start and play 30 or 27 minutes, and then off the bench, Michael Green played 16 minutes, but in those 16 minutes, he had 13 points and 8 rebounds.
I'm looking at his 3 3-pointers as well. He stepped right in, knocked out his first one.
Tonight he played like the guy the Warriors signed in the offseason. This is what they were looking for, a guy who can play, stretch the floor, get some rebounds, do some dirty work. He did that too. You saw a couple of dunks in there. I think, you know, his name has been tossed about as possible trade bait, you know, and maybe the Warriors should let him go. Guys hear and see everything. And if you're JaMychal Green, you're fighting for your NBA life. And I think this was a game where You know, he hadn't played in about a month, and to come back and play this well in a game when all the starters were out, I think it was huge for him. It'd be good for him confidence-wise, but it also, I think, it gives his teammates a little bit more confidence in what he can do for them when he's out there.
Yeah, and the Warriors need the size, too. This is the type of game they've been wanting from J-Mike all season.
Yes.
All right, so we talked about the fact that the Warriors were missing 4 starters tonight. So they went to overtime against Boston, second night of a back-to-back, end of a road trip. So a little bit predictable, definitely that Clay would sit out, but that Steph and Draymond and Wiggins joined them. Okay, so this really stirred up a conversation today about rest nights. And, you know, there's the old school thought, like, we never rested. And maybe the new school thought of, okay, you got to be cautious with this guy, with these guys. What if you give them a night off here and there? And what if that all adds up to healthier bodies for the postseason? Or an extra year on the back end of their career. Okay, there are pluses and minuses to all of this.
Right.
Naturally, Steve Kerr was asked about these rest nights. Importantly, he said, our record will never dictate who rests or when. Okay, they're going to make these decisions based on the training staff, the sports science. But he also added something. He's coming back to this idea that the season should be shortened. Steve Kerr wants 72 games, and he talked about it pregame.
I feel terrible for fans who buy tickets who are expecting to see someone play, and they don't get to see that person play. It's a brutal part of the business. That's why I'm going to continue to advocate for 72-game seasons. And I know that means less revenue, but at some point, I think there just needs to be an awareness from everybody involved, the league, players, coaches, performance staff. Like, let's be really smart. Let's take care of these guys and play fewer games, and the overall quality of the game will be better. And if that's the case, then revenue is going to go up anyway. So that's what my solution would be.
I am buying into this idea of shortening the season. I mean, naturally, the union would have to agree with that. It would mean less money for the players, but maybe you can bake it in elsewhere. If it means there aren't so many back-to-backs, if it means that there aren't so many rest nights, and you can make fans happy too, this seems like a possible solution.
No, I've been for it like for years now.
Yeah.
You know, I think that this is one of the things, and Steve is not alone in wanting to see the NBA go to a shorter schedule. And it can be done. People have brought up all kinds of different diagrams to show that you can have a shorter schedule and still play everybody in the league, and people get to see all the teams. But so far, there's been resistance, and it hasn't happened. So I hope that the day comes when it happens. And the fact that they rest, so many teams are into that rest mode. And I understand for the Warriors. I understand why they do it. I mean, they've played a lot of long seasons. 6 trips to the finals.
Yes,
you know, so when you play those long 8-month seasons, it takes a toll. And they've got 3 guys in their core that are all mid-30s.
Yeah.
And so you got to consider this. And so I understand Steve's tactics, his motives. But yeah, I think in the long haul, I would love to see the league have a shorter schedule, eliminate back-to-backs, and just go from there.
Yeah, there is this paradox that maybe on a rest night you are increasing your chances of losing a game, but you do that so you have a higher likelihood of winning in the postseason with fresher bodies. So there is this tension between all of this. No easy answers, but maybe 72 will catch on.
God, I hope. I mean,
a little bit more.
68, 72, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, all right. So speaking of which, let's see what the Warriors have ahead on the schedule. They're coming home. They are 3-2 on this road trip. We'll talk about that coming up when Dubs Talk Live presented by Fit Aid returns.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Fit Aid Clean Energy and Sports Recovery, the energy drink for athletes. Fit Aid Energy is naturally sweetened with only 15 calories, no sucralose, no aspartame, and no compromises.
All right, we have somebody asking how many games are in a season. It's 80 for the regular season.
82.
Excuse me, 82. That was the person who asked, 82. I mean, and we've got all sorts of reflections on that. Like somebody says, I've never seen Michael Jordan sit a game and rest, and he played 38 minutes every night. Yes, these guys are getting paid $20 to $40 million a year, and they're complaining.
I don't think it's the guys complaining as much.
No.
I think it's the teams that
protecting their assets.
Yeah. guys are making more money now than they ever made in Michael Jordan's era, too.
Yeah.
And so if
Yeah.
you own a team and you're paying the salaries, you're right. Protecting your asset, that's a perfect phrase because
Yeah.
that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and I look at a guy like Andre, who's in season number 19, and the things that he has to do to manage his body. He told us last season he had a bulging disc, he has nerve damage. When I think about these players that I care about, that I'm a fan of, I want to make sure when their careers are over that they can walk. Okay, that their ankles, their knees, their backs, their necks are okay. And if sports science can help with that a little bit, so be it. I want to protect them for the long run.
Yeah, the number of guys who retire in retirement end up getting knee replacements and hip replacements and those things is pretty astronomical. You know, it's rare, almost rare, when you see someone who hasn't had something replaced at some point in their body. And I think ideally that'll happen less and less with the new generation and the way that teams do manage their bodies and the way that the sports science has been, it's come so far the last 25 years. And I think you're seeing that. And I think in the end, I think players will appreciate that. And if you have a better quality of life when you're 50, 60, 70 years old, you'll appreciate it.
Yeah, and the way that fans can show their emotions about this, if you don't want to spend your hard-earned money on this, that is totally your right. If you're looking at the second game of a back-to-back and you want to convey that you're upset, don't. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid. All right, so the Warriors feeling good after this road trip. Boom, they're going to hit Brooklyn next and then the Grizzlies. Now, we know KD is not playing in that Sunday game. He's still dealing with an MCL sprain. But yeah, this is going to be tough. You can see another back-to-back coming up there at Minnesota, at Denver.
That's a tough back-to-back.
Denver right now, the top team in the West. Of course, that's a high-altitude game. Okay, all the reasons. But what do you think? I'm looking at the Nets and the Grizzlies right there. That's tough to start with.
Yeah, but I mean, the Warriors have had a way of finding something within when they see a team that they know is good. The Nets are still formidable without KD. They got Kyrie there, and they're still a very good team.
Ben Simmons?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ben Simmons coming along.
He's coming along.
But then, you know, the Grizzlies, I don't anticipate the Warriors having any kind of a letdown
No, I don't
facing
think so.
the Memphis Grizzlies.
And
they know.
there's the 2 days off in between, too.
Yeah,
So one of
you
those
know,
will be a practice day.
Probably an off day
Yeah.
on Monday
Yeah.
and practice day on Tuesday, and be ready to play on Wednesday. And at that point, I don't know who wouldn't be able to play. You know, I mean, Andre, hope maybe he'll be okay by then. We'll see about Wiseman, see where he is at that point.
Still a question mark, Wiseman.
That's still a question mark.
Okay, all right. I'm looking at Toronto, OKC, the Wolves. Those are teams that are not at 500 right now. So, you know, the Warriors
Those are the teams that scare the Warriors. That can take down the Warriors.
Sure. The Warriors are 23 and 23. They have a collection of good games. They have a collection of weird games. Let's see if they can even out that weirdness and find some consistency. Thanks for watching Dubs Talk Live, brought to you by Fit Aid. Hello to Catherine and all of our regular viewers. Appreciate you.
Later. Next.
Hello to the person watching from Manila. Always appreciate you in here.
Wow.
So they're going to be at OKC. What do you bet that that's a good Ty Jerome game? If they use him, because they are like counting on his games for that 50-game limit.
OKC was looked upon at the beginning of this season as a team that was going to be tanking. You know, they had all these lottery picks coming in, and they've been a really good team.
Yeah.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been phenomenal. He's an all-star player. Josh Giddey's really good. So Lou Dort has a three-point shot now, which was his issue before. So that's not a team you take lightly. That's a team that, you know, it could be on the fringes of a play-in situation if they want it.
They're behind the Warriors right now in the standings.
Yeah, but not far.
Right.
They're right there.
Right.
You know, so that's going to be an interesting game, being at that place. And the Warriors have some
history there, would you say?
Yeah, they do. But those were the old Thunder teams, you know.
I know. But
you know,
still.
when they had Russ and Kevin and Serge Ibaka and all those guys there. Yeah, they were some epic games. But for the Warriors, I think that'll be a good game for them just to see how they measure against a young team with some length.
Okay.
That's a young team with some length.
OKC is traditionally not a very happening city, which means sometimes players are open to doing interviews over Zoom in their hotel rooms.
Yeah.
We might get somebody.
That'd be good. I'm down with that.
Number 30? Okay, all right. Well,
Anything
that's
is
the tease.
possible.
Yeah, okay, anything is possible. All right, so there you go. There's the tease for you. Thanks for watching Dubs Talk Live. We'll be back soon.